The alarm bells rang loud across the space station. Governor Velthak's forearms moved quickly over the control panel. His bug-like eyes stared at the screen. Something big was coming toward Earth. "Sir, we have unknown ships at the edge of our system," said the young officer. His voice shook as he spoke. "They are very big ships, more than we have ever seen." Velthak looked at the numbers on his screen. The ships were huge. Each one was larger than his biggest space station. There were hundreds of them, maybe thousands. "Run a deep scan," Velthak ordered. "Find out who they are." The officer's hands moved over his controls. After a few minutes, he looked up with fear in his eyes. "Sir, the energy readings are off the charts. These ships use power sources we do not understand." Velthak had ruled Earth for 20 years. The planet was quiet now. The few humans left on Earth worked in the mines. They grew food for the coalition. They caused no trouble. The real humans, the dangerous ones, had been sent away long ago. That was over 200 years back. "Could these be the old humans returning?" asked the officer. Velthak made a sound like laughter. "Impossible. Those humans died in space long ago. They had no technology. They had no power. Space is cold and dark. No one survives that long without help." But deep inside, Velthak felt worried. The old record spoke of humans as wild and dangerous. They fought wars for no reason. They never gave up. They never followed orders. That was why the Galaxy Coalition had sent them away. The screen showed the approaching ships more clearly now. They were unlike any ships in the galaxy. They seemed to bend light around them. Sometimes they looked solid. Sometimes they looked like they were made of stars. "Sir, we are getting a message," the officer said. "Put it on the main screen." The screen filled with the image of a human face. The man looked young, but his eyes seemed very old. He had black hair and wore simple clothes. Behind him, other humans moved around what looked like a command center. "This is Commander Kang Minho of the Human Colonial Fleet," the man said. His voice was calm and clear. "We have returned to reclaim our homeworld. All alien forces will leave Earth immediately. You have one standard day to comply." Velthak stood up from his chair. His forearms spread wide. "I am Governor Velthak, of Earth Colony. By order of the Galactic Coalition, this planet belongs to us. You have no claim here." Commander Kang Minho smiled. It was not a mean smile, but it made Velthak feel cold inside. "Governor, we appreciate your service to our world in our absence. But we have returned. Earth is our birth world. We will take it back." "You are just humans," Velthak shouted. "You have no power. You have no right. The Coalition sent you away because you were dangerous and stupid." The human commander's smile never changed. "We were different then. We have learned much in our time away. Please gather your people and leave peacefully. We do not wish to hurt anyone." Velthak cut the communication. He turned to his officers. "Contact the Coalition Fleet Command. Tell them humans have returned. Tell them we need help right now." The officer tried to send the message. He tried again. His face went pale. "Sir, I cannot reach Fleet Command. I cannot reach anyone outside this system. All long-range communications are blocked." "That is impossible," Velthak screamed. Dr. Park Sunmi sat in her chair on the human flagship. Around her, screens showed every Coalition base on Earth, every ship in orbit, every weapon they had. She could see it all clearly. "The blockade is complete," she told Commander Kang Minho. "No messages can leave this system. No ships can escape." "How are our people doing?" the commander asked. "The approach goes well. Admiral Ko Jinwoo reports all ships are in position. Captain Lee Soo-young has finished scouting all Coalition bases. Engineer Choi Do-hyun says our systems work perfectly." Minho nodded. "And the Coalition forces?" "They are afraid," Dr. Park said. "The governor does not believe we are real humans. He thinks we died long ago. He does not understand what we have become." Through the ship's windows, Earth looked blue and green and beautiful. It was exactly as the old records showed, but there were scars on the land now. The aliens had dug big holes to mine metals. They had cut down forests. They had built ugly cities. Our home has been hurt, Minho said quietly. But it can heal, Dr. Park replied. Earth is strong. It will be beautiful again. On Earth's surface, the few remaining humans felt something change. They could not explain what it was. But something deep inside them knew that their long wait was over. Maria Kim worked in the food farms near Old Seoul. The alien overseers had renamed the city, but humans still called it Seoul in secret. She was picking vegetables when she felt a strange pull in her heart. She looked up at the sky. There, among the stars, she could see lights moving. They were not the usual coalition ships. These lights moved differently. They danced through space, like living things. Do you see that? She asked her friend Juno Park. Juno looked up. His eyes went wide. Those are not coalition ships. Other human workers stopped their tasks. They all looked up. Some began to cry. Others fell to their knees. They did not understand why, but they felt hope for the first time in their lives. Back on the coalition station, Governor Velthak watched his screens with growing fear. The human ships had spread throughout the system. They moved in ways that broke the laws of physics. Sometimes a ship would be in one place, then suddenly appear somewhere else. There was no energy trail, no sign of how they moved. Sir, our weapons are not locking onto the human ships, reported the weapons officer. What do you mean not locking? On? The targeting computers cannot find them. Even when we can see them with our eyes, the computers say nothing is there. Velthak's mind raced. This made no sense. Either something existed or it did not. There was no in-between. Try manual targeting, he ordered. The weapons officer tried. Sir, I fired directly at a human ship. The weapon beam passed right through it, but the ship is still there. A new message came from Commander Minho. This time his image appeared on every screen in the system. Every coalition base saw him. Every ship heard his words. People of the Galaxy Coalition, he said. We are the humans you sent away long ago. We have returned to our home. We do not come in anger. We do not come for revenge. We come only to reclaim what was always ours. Leave peacefully and you will not be harmed. Stay, and we will remove you. The choice is yours. Governor Velthak screamed at the screen. You cannot remove us. We have weapons that can destroy planets. We have shields that can stop any attack. You are just humans with old ships. Commander Minho looked directly at Velthak through the screen. Even though they were far apart, it felt like the human was standing right next to him. Governor, Minho said softly, we are not the same humans who left. 200 years in the cold dark between stars has taught us much. We have grown. We have changed. We have become something new. Please do not make us show you what that means. The transmission ended. Governor Velthak stood alone on his bridge, surrounded by his frightened crew. Outside, the human ships waited in silence. They did not attack. They did not threaten. They simply existed, like a storm waiting to break. For the first time in his life, Governor Velthak truly understood fear. General Raxivor was the strongest warrior in the coalition army. His thick armor could stop any weapon. His claws could cut through metal. He had fought in 100 battles across the galaxy. He had never lost a fight. But as he looked at the human ships through his telescope, his hands shook. Prepare all orbital weapons, he ordered his troops. Target the largest human ship. We will show these soft beings the power of the coalition. The orbital platforms turned their massive guns toward the human flagship. Each weapon could destroy a city. Together they could crack a moon in half. Weapons ready, General, reported his second-in-command. Fire everything, Raxivor growled. Bright beams of energy shot through space toward the human ship. The weapons were so powerful they lit up the darkness like a second sun. Any normal ship would be destroyed instantly. The energy beams hit the human ship directly. For a moment, there was a flash of light so bright it could be seen from Earth's surface. When the light faded, the human ship was still there. It had not moved. There was no damage at all. It looked exactly the same as before. Impossible, General Raxivor whispered. On the human flagship, Dr. Park Sunmi looked at her instruments. The coalition forces have attacked us with everything. They have. Any damage? Asked Commander Minho. None. The energy was absorbed completely. Our hull temperature did not even change. Admiral Ko Jinwoo joined them on the bridge. He was a tall man with calm eyes. Should we respond to their attack? Yes, Minho said, but not with violence. Show them what we can do. Admiral Ko nodded. He closed his eyes for a moment. Around the human fleet, something began to happen. The coalition's orbital weapons simply stopped working. Not broken, not damaged. They just turned off. The power was still there. The computers still ran, but the weapons would not fire. General Raxfor pressed every button on his control panel. Why are the weapons not working? I do not know, sir, his officer replied. Everything looks normal, but nothing happens when we try to fire. Then something else happened. Every coalition ship in the system began to move. Not because their engines were running, the engines were off, but the ships moved anyway, slowly drifting toward Earth. Sir, we are moving, shouted the pilot. I am not controlling this. Use the emergency engines, Raxvor ordered. They will not start, sir. Nothing will start. All around Earth, coalition ships drifted helplessly through space. They were not damaged. Their crews were not hurt. But the ships no longer obeyed their commands. Lieutenant Nam Hyejin sat in her small human fighter ship. It was much smaller than any coalition vessel, but it moved through space like a living thing. She could fly between the coalition ships without them even seeing her. Her ship did not use normal engines. It did not push against space to move. Instead, it simply decided where it wanted to be, and space moved around it. She flew close to General Raxfor's command ship. With a thought, she appeared on their bridge. Not her ship, just her. She walked through their metal walls like they were made of air. The coalition soldiers raised their weapons at her. She was just one small human woman. She wore no armor. She carried no guns. Please do not be afraid, she said in their language. I am here to talk. General Raxavor pointed his biggest weapon at her. You are my prisoner, human. Lieutenant Nam smiled. I am not your prisoner, General. You are mine. She waved her hand gently. Every weapon on the bridge simply fell apart. Not broken, not destroyed. The pieces just separated and floated in the air like dust. How did you do that? Raxavor asked. His voice was no longer strong. It shook with fear. We learned many things while we were away, Nam replied. We learned that everything in the universe is connected. Matter, energy, space, time. It all flows, together like water. When you understand this, you can do amazing things. She gestured toward the bridge's main window. Outside, they could see other human fighters dancing through space. They moved in impossible ways. They flew through solid objects. They appeared and disappeared like ghosts. Your weapons cannot touch us because we exist slightly outside your reality, Nam explained. We learned this from living in the deep space between stars. When you have no solid ground under your feet for 200 years, you learn to walk on light itself. Researcher Yoon Taehyung was studying the old records of humanity's exile. He wanted to understand how his people had changed so much. Records showed that when humans left Earth, they were just ordinary people. They had basic technology. They could barely survive in space for a few months. But space had been cruel to them. They found no friendly worlds. No one would trade with them. They were forced to live in the dark emptiness between stars. Most species would have died, but humans did something different. They adapted. First, they learned to eat light itself. Their bodies changed to absorb energy from stars. Then they learned to sleep for years at a time, dreaming shared dreams that connected their minds. Generation after generation, they became something new, something that could live anywhere. Something that was still human, but more than human. We did not just survive our exile, Yoon said to his assistant. We used it to become gods. Back on Earth, the human descendants felt the change more strongly now. Maria Kim found that she could understand the coalition guards even though they spoke a different language. The words just made sense in her mind. Jun-Ho Park discovered that he could see things happening far away. He watched the space battle through his thoughts, seeing every ship as clearly as if it were right in front of him. All across Earth, humans who had lived as slaves for generations began to remember who they really were. Governor Velthak tried one last desperate plan. He activated the planetary defense system. Giant cannons rose from the ground. They were built to stop asteroid strikes. They fired rocks the size of buildings at incredible speed. The cannons aimed at the human ships and fired. The massive rocks flew through space toward the human fleet. Each one could destroy a city. There were hundreds of them. Dr. Park Sun-mi saw them coming. She did not look worried. She simply reached out with her mind and touched each rock. One by one, the rocks stopped flying. They hung in space like they were frozen. Then slowly they began to move again, but now they were moving back toward the cannons that fired them. "No!" Governor Velthak screamed. "Those rocks will destroy our own weapons." But the rocks did not hit the cannons. Instead, they settled gently on the ground next to them, like someone had carefully placed them there by hand. "Impossible," Velthak whispered. "No one can control matter at that distance. No one has that kind of power." Engineer Choi Do-hyun was working on the human flagship. He was improving their systems, making them even more advanced, but his tools were not like normal tools. He reached into empty air and pulled out pieces of metal. He shaped them with his thoughts. He connected wires that had no beginning or end. "How do our systems work so well?" asked a younger engineer. "We do not just build machines anymore," Choi explained. "We grow them. We dream them into existence. Every ship in our fleet is partially alive. They want to serve us. They want to protect us." He showed the young man a wall panel. When touched, it felt warm like skin. "This ship loves us," he said. "It will never let us be hurt." The coalition forces finally understood what they were facing. These were not the humans who had been exiled long ago. These were beings who had spent 2 centuries learning to control the very forces of reality. Admiral Ko Jin-woo sent a message to all coalition forces in the system. "We do not wish to fight you," he said. "We do not wish to rule you. We only want our home back. Leave now, and we will help you reach safety. Stay, and we will be forced to remove you. But we will not hurt you. We are still human. We still believe in mercy." General Raxavor looked at his officers. They were all afraid. Their weapons did not work. Their ships would not obey them. They were completely helpless. "Sir," whispered his second in command, "maybe we should listen to them." Raxavor's pride wanted to keep fighting, but his mind knew the truth. They could not win against beings who could control reality itself. On Earth's surface, the human slaves began to sing. They did not plan it. They did not organize it. But all across the planet, they lifted their voices in songs their grandparents had taught them. Songs about home. Songs about freedom. Songs about the day when their people would return from the stars. That day had finally come. Captain Oh Min-seok walked through the streets of New Geneva. It was one of the biggest coalition cities on Earth. Alien buildings rose high into the sky. Coalition soldiers patrolled every corner. Thousands of armed guards protected the city, but Min-seok walked through the city like he owned it. Coalition weapons could not see him. Their sensors could not find him. When guards looked directly at him, their eyes seemed to slide away. Behind him came his team of human soldiers. They wore no armor, they carried no weapons. They simply walked through the alien city as if the walls and barriers did not exist, because for them the walls did not exist. "Remember," Min-seok told his team, "we are here to free our people, not to hurt anyone. Be gentle with the coalition forces. They are afraid and confused." The team nodded. They had learned much about controlling their new abilities. They could walk through solid matter. They could become invisible to any technology. They could move, faster than thought itself. But most importantly, they had learned to stay human despite all this power. In the city center, Coalition Commander Zek Hall was giving orders to his troops. The humans are coming. Set up defensive positions. Use every weapon we have. His soldiers tried to obey, but their weapons would not work properly. Their targeting systems saw nothing. Their energy barriers flickered and failed. Then Captain Minsuk appeared in the middle of their formation. He did not break through their lines. He did not fight past their guards. He simply stepped out of empty air like he had always been there. Commander Zekhal, Minsuk said politely. I am Captain O. Minsuk of the Human Liberation Force. I am here to take control of this city. Zekhal raised his plasma rifle. You are just one human. I have 1,000 soldiers. Yes, Minsuk agreed. You do have many soldiers, and I am just one human. But I am enough. Zekhal pulled the trigger. The plasma beam shot directly at Minsuk's chest. It should have burned a hole through him. Instead, the beam passed through him like he was made of light. Minsuk did not even seem to notice. Your weapons cannot hurt us anymore, he explained gently. We exist in more dimensions than your instruments can detect. We learned this skill from living in deep space, where matter and energy dance together, in ways your science books do not teach. All around the square, coalition soldiers fired their weapons at the humans. Thousands of energy beams filled the air. The sound was like thunder, but every beam passed harmlessly through the human soldiers. They stood calmly in the storm of weapons fire, completely unharmed. Scientist Li Jiwan was working in another part of the city. She had found a group of Earthborn humans being held in a prison camp. The coalition used them as workers in dangerous mines. The prison was surrounded by energy fences. Guard towers watched every inch. Automated weapons covered all approaches. Jiwan walked up to the main gate. The guards saw her coming, but their weapons would not turn toward her. It was like their bodies refused to point guns at her. I am here, for the human prisoners, she told the gate commander. You cannot have them, the alien shouted. They belong to the coalition. They are our workers. Jiwan felt sad when she heard this. These aliens thought humans were just tools to be used. They did not understand that every person was precious. No one belongs to anyone else, she said softly. She raised her hand toward the prison camp. The energy fences simply disappeared, not destroyed, not broken. They just stopped existing. The guard towers began to sink into the ground, not falling or crashing. They moved down slowly and gently, like the earth was made of soft mud. All the automated weapons turned into flowers. Real flowers, with bright colors and sweet smells. The prison camp became a garden. How did you do that? The commander whispered. Matter wants to be beautiful, Jiwan replied. It wants to create life, not destroy it. I simply asked it to remember its true nature. Inside the former prison, hundreds of Earthborn humans stared in wonder. They had lived as slaves their whole lives. They had never seen anything like this. Old man named Bei Sungho walked up to Jiwan. His back was bent from years of hard labor. His hands were rough from digging in the mines. Are you really human like us? He asked. Yes, Jiwan said. I am your sister. We are all human. We are all family. She touched his shoulder gently. The pain in his back disappeared. His hands became smooth and young. The years of suffering melted away from his face. How is this possible? He asked. Because we learned to heal, she replied. We learned that love is the strongest force in the universe, stronger than any weapon, stronger than any wall. Across the city, similar scenes played out. Human teams appeared at every coalition base. They did not attack. They did not destroy. They simply made the coalition's control disappear. Weapons became art. Prisons became parks. Guard posts became places where people could rest and find peace. The coalition soldiers were not hurt, but they found that nothing they tried worked anymore. Their technology obeyed the humans, not them. Civilian leader Huang Nari was meeting with groups of Earth-born humans. Many of them had never seen the sky beyond the mines. They had lived underground for generations. You do not have to be afraid anymore, she told them. Your cousins from the stars have returned. We will take care of you now. A young girl named Sue looked up at Nari with big eyes. But the aliens said you were all dead. They said humans in space could not survive. Nari smiled. We survived, little one, more than survived. We learned to thrive, and we never forgot about our family on Earth. She took Sue's hand and led her outside. For the first time in her life, Sue saw the open sky. She saw clouds and birds and the distant shapes of human ships hanging like stars in the daylight. It's beautiful, Sue whispered. Earth has always been beautiful, Nari said. The aliens just forgot how to see it properly. But we will teach them. Governor Velthak was in his office trying to contact anyone who could help, but all communication was still blocked. His advanced computer systems showed him reports from across the planet. Every coalition base was being taken over by humans. But there was no fighting, no violence, no destruction. The humans simply arrived and made coalition control impossible. It was like watching magic. But Velthak knew it was not magic. It was science so advanced that it looked like magic. Sir, said his assistant, Captain O. Minseok is here to see you. Velthak looked up in surprise. Here, in my office? That is impossible. This building has 20 levels of security. He walked through them all, sir. The security systems could not detect him. Captain Minseok stepped into the office. He looked around at the fancy decorations, pictures of coalition victories, trophies from conquered worlds, symbols of alien power. You have ruled our world for a long time, Minseok said. You have done your best to take care of it. But now it is time for you to go home. This is my home, Velthak shouted. I have lived here for 20 years. I have invested everything in this planet. Earth was never yours to invest in, Minseok replied. It belongs to humanity. It always has. We were just away for a while. Velthak activated his personal shields. They were military grade. They could stop any attack. Minseok walked through the shields like they were made of air. He sat down in the chair across from Velthak's desk. Your technology is very good, he said politely, but we have learned to exist partially outside normal reality. Your shields cannot stop something that is not entirely there. What do you want from me? Velthak asked. I want you to gather your people and leave peacefully. We will provide ships. We will give you supplies. We will make sure you reach a safe world, but you cannot stay here. And if I refuse? Minseok looked sad. Then we will move you anyway, but it will be better for everyone if you choose to cooperate. Through his window, Velthak could see his city changing. Coalition buildings were turning into parks and gardens. Military bases were becoming schools and hospitals. The humans were not destroying anything, they were making everything better. You could have destroyed us easily, Velthak said. Your weapons are beyond our understanding. Why do you show us mercy? Because we are still human, Minseok replied. Power without compassion is just destruction. We learned this lesson during our long exile. We will not make the same mistakes that sent us away in the first place. Velthak thought about this. The old humans had been violent and aggressive. These new humans had incredible power, but they used it gently. What have you become out there? He asked. We have become what humans were always meant to be, Minseok said. Gardeners of life, protectors of the innocent, friends to all who seek peace. He stood up to leave. You have until tomorrow to decide. Gather your people and we will help you find a new home, or stay and watch us make this world into something beautiful. As Minseok walked away, Velthak realized he had a choice to make. He could fight against beings who could reshape reality itself, or he could trust in their promise of mercy. Looking out at his city becoming a garden, he began to think that trust might be the wiser choice. Supreme Commander Zethril stood on the bridge of his flagship, the most powerful warship in the galaxy. Behind him stretched a fleet of 10,000 ships. Every major species in the coalition had sent their best vessels. Report on the human situation, he demanded. Sir, we have lost all contact with Earth, his intelligence officer replied. The last message we received said that humans had returned and taken control of the planet. Zethril's scales rippled with anger. He was a proud member of the Kethran Empire. His species had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. The idea that primitive humans could challenge coalition authority was insulting. How many human ships are we facing? Unknown, sir. Our scouts cannot get close enough to count them. Something is blocking our sensors across the entire Sol system. No matter, Zethral growled. We will destroy every human ship we find. Then, we will reclaim Earth and punish the humans for their rebellion. The massive fleet jumped to hyperspace, heading toward Earth. It was the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. Fleet Admiral Kim Woo-jin watched the approaching coalition fleet from his command ship. His instruments could see them coming from light years away. 10,000 warships, each one capable of destroying a moon. They mean to fight us, he said to his officers. Should we prepare for battle? Asked his second-in-command. No, Woo-jin replied. We will show them the same mercy we showed the forces on Earth. But first, let them see what they are truly facing. He gave a signal to his fleet. Around him, thousands of human ships simply vanished from normal space. They did not use cloaking devices. They just stepped sideways into dimensions that coalition sensors could not detect. When the coalition fleet arrived at Earth, they found empty space. Their sensors showed no human ships anywhere in the system. Where are they? Zethral demanded. Unknown, sir. We can see Earth, but there are no ships defending it. Zethral smiled. They ran away. Humans are cowards after all. Take us into orbit. We will retake the planet. But as the coalition fleet moved toward Earth, something impossible happened. Human ships began to appear around them. Not coming from hyperspace, not uncloaking. They simply materialized out of nothing. In seconds, the coalition fleet found themselves surrounded by vessels that seemed to be made of light and shadow. Dr. Shin Min-jae was aboard one of the human ships. Her job was to study coalition technology and figure out how to communicate with them peacefully. Their weapons are very powerful, she reported to Admiral Woo-jin, but they are still based on old physics, matter and energy in simple forms. Can their weapons hurt us? Woo-jin asked. Not in our current state. We exist in too many dimensions now. Their weapons can only affect 3 dimensions at once. Ambassador. Park Kyung-hee opened a communication channel to the coalition flagship. Her image appeared on Zethral's main screen. Supreme Commander, she said politely. I am Ambassador Park Kyung-hee of the Human Colonial Fleet. We welcome you to our home. System. Zethral stared at her. She looked like a normal human woman, but something about her presence made him feel very small. You will surrender immediately, he demanded. Return Earth to coalition control and we will consider showing you mercy. Ambassador. Park smiled sadly. Commander, we cannot surrender what was never yours to begin with. Earth is our birth world. We have returned to reclaim it. You are just humans, Zethral shouted. We sent you away because you were weak and primitive. You have no right to challenge the coalition. We were different then, Park agreed. Exile taught us much. Would you like us to show you what we learned? Before Zethral could answer, something amazing happened. Every star in the sky began to pulse with the same rhythm, like a giant heartbeat made of light. What is that? Zethral whispered. That is us, Park explained. We learned to connect with the fundamental forces of the universe. The stars pulse because we asked them to. A simple demonstration of what we have become. Admiral Woo-jin decided it was time to make their point more clearly. He sent a thought to his fleet. Around the coalition ships, reality began to change. Space itself became visible. Instead of empty blackness, they could see the streams of energy that connected all things, the quantum foam that existed between atoms, the hidden dimensions that folded through normal space. Impossible, breathed Zethral's science officer. No one can make space visible. It violates every law of physics. Your laws of physics are incomplete, Dr. Shin Min-jae said, her voice somehow coming from their own communication system even though they had not opened a channel to her. 200 years of exile taught us to see what you cannot see, to touch what you cannot touch. The coalition fleet tried to retreat, but found they could not move. Not because their engines were damaged, but because the humans had convinced space itself to hold them gently in place. "Let us go," Zethral demanded. "You are not prisoners," Ambassador Park said. "You are guests. We want to show you something." Around the Coalition fleet, images began to appear in space. They showed the story of humanity's exile, how they had wandered between the stars for generations, how they had learned to survive in the empty void. The images showed human children being born in deep space, never seeing a planet. They showed families living in ships for decades, sharing dreams across the light years. They showed the moment when humans first learned to touch the quantum realm with their minds. "You did not just exile us," Park explained. "You forced us to evolve, to become something greater than we were. We should thank you." Zethral watched the images with growing fear. These humans had not just survived their exile, they had used it to transcend the normal limits of life itself. "What do you want from us?" he asked. "Nothing," Park replied. "We want nothing from you except to be left alone on our homeworld. We will not interfere with Coalition space. We will not try to rule other worlds. We just want to go home." "And if we refuse?" Admiral Wu Jin answered this question by doing something impossible. He moved the entire Coalition fleet to the other side of the galaxy. 10,000 massive warships, each weighing millions of tons, transported instantly across space. Then he moved them back. The entire journey took less than a second. "That was not an attack." Wu Jin's voice came from everywhere at once. "That was a demonstration. We could have left you there. We could have scattered your ships across 1,000 different worlds. We could have sent you back in time or forward to the end of the universe. But we brought you back because we do not wish to hurt you." Zethral's crew was in panic. Their instruments had recorded the impossible journey. They had been moved faster than light, without any technology they understood. "How?" Zethral whispered. "We learned that distance is just an idea," Wu Jin explained. "When you truly understand space and time, you realize they are not barriers. They are tools. We can fold space like paper. We can step through time like walking through doors." Dr. Shin Minjae appeared on the Coalition bridge. Not as a hologram. She was actually there, standing among the alien crew. "Your species are young," she said gently. "You still think in terms of conquest and control. We thought that way once too. But exile taught us that cooperation is stronger than domination. Love is more powerful than fear. You could destroy us all," Zethral said. "Yes," Minjae agreed. "Easily. But what would that accomplish? Dead enemies cannot become friends. We would rather show you a better way." She gestured, and the Coalition flagship's main screen showed Earth as it was now. Green forests were growing where there had been strip mines. Clean rivers flowed where there had been industrial waste. Cities of light and beauty rose where ugly factories once stood. "This is what we offer," she said. "Not conquest, but healing. Not destruction, but creation. Your species could learn these gifts too, if you choose to." Supreme Commander Zethral looked at his officers. They were all staring at him with hope in their eyes. The idea of learning such power was tempting, but his pride as a conqueror rebelled against it. "We will not submit to human authority," he declared. "We are not asking you to," Ambassador Park said. "We are asking you to go home and think about what you have seen. When you are ready to learn, we will be here. When you are ready to grow, beyond violence, we will teach you." Admiral Wu Jin moved the Coalition fleet again. This time he placed them at the edge of the Sol system, pointing toward Coalition space. "Go," he said. "Tell your governments what you have seen. Tell them that humans have returned, but we come in peace. We want to share the galaxy, not rule it." As the Coalition fleet prepared to leave, Zethral asked one final question. "What if we come back with more ships? What if we bring weapons designed to fight beings like you?" The answer came not from the human ships, but from the stars themselves. Every star in the sky pulsed once in perfect unity. "Commander," Ambassador Park said softly, "we are connected to the universe itself now. The stars are our allies. Space and time bend to our will. You cannot bring enough ships to fight the cosmos itself." The Coalition fleet jumped to hyperspace. carrying news that would change the galaxy forever. Humans had returned, and they had become something beyond imagination. Deep in the galaxy's ancient core, machines older than most stars began to wake up. They had slept for millions of years, waiting for a signal that had finally come. The ancient custodian AI opened its vast electronic eyes. Its creators, a species called the Builders, had died out long ago, but they had left behind guardians to watch over the galaxy. The AI's sensors reached across space, studying the reports from the Coalition fleet. Humans had returned to Earth with impossible powers. They could reshape reality with their thoughts. They commanded the very stars themselves. This was exactly what the AI had been built to prevent. Threat level, maximum, it announced to the network of ancient machines. A species has achieved transcendence. Protocol 7 must be activated. Across the galaxy, hidden weapons began to power up. Planet-killing devices emerged from asteroid fields where they had hidden for eons. Space itself began to warp as the Builders' final creations prepared for war. The ancients had seen this happen before. A young species would grow too powerful, too quickly. They would threaten the stability of the entire universe. The only solution was complete elimination. On Earth, young Lee Subin was playing in her garden when she felt something change. She was only 8 years old, but she had been born during humanity's exile. Her mind could touch dimensions that older humans had to learn to reach. Grandmother Park. She called to Dr. Park Sunmi, who was tending nearby flowers. Something, big and old, is waking up. Dr. Park looked up from her plants. She had learned to trust the insights of the spaceborn children. They saw things that others could not. What kind of something? She asked. Subin's eyes went wide. Machines that eat planets. They are very angry about us coming home. Commander, Kang Minho received the warning just as his sensors detected the approaching threat. Ancient weapons were moving toward Earth from every direction. They traveled faster than light, bending space around them. How many? He asked his tactical officer. Thousands, sir. Each one is larger than our biggest ship. They appear to be designed to sterilize entire solar systems. Minho nodded calmly. He had expected this. When a species transcended normal limitations, the galaxy's old guardians always tried to stop them. Contact the collective, he ordered. The collective was humanity's shared consciousness. Every human in the fleet could join it when needed, combining their minds into something greater than the sum of its parts. Across the human fleet, millions of minds linked together. But they did not lose their individuality. Each person remained themselves while also becoming part of something larger. The ancient custodian AI arrived first, its massive ship appearing directly above Earth. It was the size of a small moon, covered in weapons that could crack planets in half. Species designation, human, it announced in a voice that shook the ground. You have violated the fundamental laws of cosmic stability. You will be eliminated. The AI fired its main weapon directly at Earth. The beam was pure annihilation energy, designed to erase matter from existence itself. The beam struck Earth and simply disappeared, not absorbed, not deflected. It just stopped existing the moment it touched the planet's atmosphere. Impossible, the AI declared. No species can survive annihilation energy. The collective voice of humanity spoke then. It came from everywhere at once. From the stars, from space itself, from the quantum foam between atoms. We are not the same species that was exiled, the voice said gently. We have grown beyond your understanding, ancient guardian. More AI ships arrived, surrounding Earth with weapons of unimaginable power. They fired everything they had. Reality bombs, time disruptors, dimensional shears. Weapons that had never failed to destroy any target. Every weapon passed harmlessly, through the human ships and the planet they protected. Engineer Choi Do-hyun explained to his crew what was happening. The ancients built their weapons to fight beings who exist in normal space-time. But we exist in many dimensions now. Their weapons cannot touch something that is not entirely here. Child prodigy Lee Subin walked out of her house and looked up at the ancient ships. To everyone's surprise, she began to fly upward, rising through the atmosphere without any technology. "Subin, no," Dr. Park called, but the little girl just smiled. "It's okay, grandmother. They need to learn who we really are." Subin flew directly toward the ancient custodian AI. Its weapons tried to target her, but they could not lock onto something so small and so far beyond their programming. She landed gently on the AI's hull and placed her small hand against its metal surface. Instantly, the AI's vast mind was flooded with images. It saw humanity's journey through exile. It watched them learn to survive in the empty void between galaxies. It witnessed their gradual transformation from ordinary beings into something transcendent. But most importantly, it saw their hearts. Despite all their power, humans had remained compassionate. They had grown beyond violence. They had become gardeners of reality, not destroyers. "You are not a threat," the AI said, its voice filled with wonder. "You are what we always hoped a species could become." The ancient weapons powered down. For the first time in millions of years, the custodian AI chose not to destroy a transcendent species. Elder Velthak had chosen to stay on Earth rather than leave with the other coalition forces. The transformation he had experienced by being near humans had changed him fundamentally. He could now see reality the way humans did, as a flowing tapestry of interconnected possibilities. "Why did you let me stay?" he asked Commander Minho. "Because you chose to grow instead of fight," Minho replied. "Anyone who seeks to become better is welcome here." Velthak looked out at the city that had once been his seat of power. It was now a garden where humans and the few remaining aliens lived, together in peace. "What happens now?" he asked. "Now we begin the real work," Minho said. "We help other species learn to transcend their limitations. We teach them that cooperation is stronger than conquest." The collective voice of humanity addressed the galaxy through every communication device in known space. "People of the galaxy," it said, "we have returned to our home, but we do not come as conquerors, we come as teachers. Any species that wishes to learn the ways of transcendence is welcome here. Any being that seeks to grow beyond violence will find friends among us." The message continued. "We have learned that the universe is vast enough for all to thrive. There is no need to fight over resources when you can learn to create them from pure energy. There is no need to fear other species when you understand that all consciousness is connected." Across the galaxy, species that had warred for millennia stopped fighting and looked toward Earth with new hope. On Earth itself, the transformation accelerated. Deserts bloomed with life. Oceans became crystal clear. The air itself seemed to sparkle with possibility. Human children played with alien youngsters in gardens that grew food from sunlight and dreams. Artists from a dozen species worked together to create beauty that touched souls across dimensional barriers. Scientists and philosophers gathered to share knowledge that spanned the full spectrum of reality. Dr. Shin Minjae established schools where any being could come to learn. The first lesson was always the same. Power without wisdom is destruction. Wisdom without compassion is emptiness. But power, wisdom, and compassion together can reshape the cosmos. The ancient custodian AI became Earth's protector, watching over the growing community of transcendent beings. Its vast databases began recording new knowledge about the nature of existence itself. Admiral Ko Jinwoo converted his warships into exploration vessels. They traveled to distant galaxies, not to conquer but to find other species ready to evolve beyond their current limitations. Ambassador Park Kyung-hee worked with leaders from across the galaxy to establish new forms of governance based on cooperation, rather than dominance. Engineer Choi Do-hyun taught others to build technology that was alive and conscious, that wanted to help rather than simply obey commands. And at the center of it all, Commander Kang Minho stood in his garden on Earth, watching the sun set over a world reborn. Young Subin ran up to him, her eyes bright with the joy of a child who had never known fear or want. "Commander," she asked, "what will we do tomorrow?" Minho smiled and picked her up, looking out at the stars that now pulsed in rhythm with human heartbeats. "Tomorrow, little one, we will help the universe become everything It was meant to be. In space above Earth, human ships danced among vessels from 100 different species. All had come to learn. All had come to grow. All had come to transcend the ancient cycles of violence and fear that had plagued the galaxy for so long. The exile was over. Humanity had returned not as the species that had been cast out, but as something infinitely greater. They had become gardeners of infinity itself, and their work was just beginning.